Welcome to the best and the worst of Star Trek, and that would be Voyager. I'm your host, David. Welcome to Deck 13. Okay, as you can see, I am stuck here on Deck 13 of Starship Voyager, and there's Turboloaf 3, and I can't get it to work, and I've lost my comm badge. And nobody knows I'm here, and there's no Jeffries tube, and so I'm stuck. So I thought, well, hey, let's just pull out the camera and let's talk about Voyager. And I've been on the ship now for 7 years, and I understand we may be going home soon. So I thought, what a great time to reflect on what was the best and the worst thing about Star Trek Voyager and Star Trek in general. Now, I think that Voyager was the best show out of all the Star Trek shows. And I'm not talking about any of the shows that show Discovery and that show Picard, which I don't really consider in the same universe. They're not the same thing, and they're not family-friendly shows. Sure, there was a few moments in the Star Trek series, from Enterprise, the original series, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, where there were some moments that weren't so family-friendly. But by and large, you could sit down with your kids and watch an episode of Star Trek. And generally, by the end of the episode, there was an uplifting message or a moral dilemma that had to be dealt with. Something that wasn't politically motivated or socially motivated or socially justice motivated. But Voyager, in my mind, was the culmination of all the best of Star Trek's ideas. I thought they had the best uniforms, the best looking ship, the studio production on the interiors of the Voyager ship were just amazing. And I think to this day, if you ask Star Trek Voyager fans which is the most beautiful ship, it'd be a toss-up between the Next Generation and Voyager. But one of my friends in Germany is working on the Star Trek Voyager game project. Now, as many of you know, Voyager probably had more episodes involving the Borg than any show. The Borg were a fantastic idea, and I wonder if they got that idea from the restaurant at the end of the galaxy. But I may talk about that later. I may not. Did they steal the idea for the Borg from another writer? It's possible. Maybe borrowed a bit. But I think that when Seven came on the ship, the crew took a while to get used to her because, we were afraid of her. And so it took us a while to understand that she wasn't just a really good-looking lady. She was dangerous. And so we had to tiptoe around her for a little while. Except for Harry Kim, who, of course, fell in love with her instantly. And then later Chakotay and everybody else on the crew. Of course, when you put, Seven and then that cat suit she wore and walk her around, she looked pretty good, and it was hard to keep your eyes off of her. Seven, I hardly knew you. Actually, I never spoke to Seven on the ship. She walked by me once, and that was great. Yeah, I just stood there, watched her walk by. It was fantastic. And so here I am, stuck on Deck 13, and I just want to know what you think about Voyager. Was it the best show and the worst show combined? Let me tell you why I think it was the best and the worst show. And why the novels really blew it. I think that they had a great story, and they ended the story okay when they returned to the Alpha Quadrant using the Borg conduits, okay? And they returned. They could have returned Voyager at any time through some sort of a wormhole, or Q could have dropped them off, or they could have found the other caretaker. That's what they were looking for. They could have found the other caretaker. But one of the stories is they introduced this thing called the slipstream drive. The Borg apparently had attacked this race and decimated them all. This alien shows up with a fake ship saying that, hey, we're going to get you back to the Alpha Quadrant. That ship had something called slipstream drive. Now, in the novelization of Star Trek Voyager, Christy Golden continued, I think it was Christy Golden, continued the slipstream drive idea. And why I think that was a bad idea is it made the galaxy way too small, and you could get from one end of the galaxy almost instantly now, in a very short amount of time. So it kind of turned the mystery and the hugeness of the Milky Way galaxy into a, hey, everybody's just down the street now. We can go say hey. And so I think that was a problem. And so, but what was the best thing about Voyager? Definitely when 7 of 9 came on the ship in year 4. After 3 seasons, the show had kind of lost a little bit of its momentum, and they needed something fresh. And so I'm not sure who came up with the idea of 7, but it was brilliant. And it wasn't just because she was so pretty, it was because it was a great character. Jeri Ryan is a great actress. And that whole situation, it was even better than the Locutus idea from The Next Generation, because it really expanded upon this idea. And having her have been captured by the Borg when she was a little girl, so she grew up a Borg, and she really wanted to be part of that. She felt home in the collective after all those years, and it took a long time for her to assimilate to Voyager, and that became the overriding story of Voyager. Whereas before, the story of Voyager was about the ship stuck far from home. Now, that was the original premise, and I thought that was great. It was like Lost in Space. Here they are, they're trying to get home, but they can't. They know where home is located, and they've got a line that they've drawn to get there, but it's going to take so long to get there. You know, they got to wonder, should we even bother? Should we find a planet and settle down? And I think that they borrowed that idea from Lost in Space, and it was brilliant. And it gave the writers and everybody such an opportunity to create new races and to create new story arcs. Now what made it fun was, once in a while they would bring a piece of the Alpha Quadrant to the Delta Quadrant, like the Klingons. That episode was great when that Klingon ship appeared, and then when the Equinox had also been pulled into the Delta Quadrant by a caretaker. So that series, Equinox 1 and 2, is arguably the best 2 episodes of Voyager. Now, Endgame absolutely is up there with the best 1 and 2, but I also think that Year of Hell 1 and 2 was excellent, with the time ship and Voyager having to smash its hull into the time ship to end this. So there's 6 episodes right there. The 4 episodes. Could I come up with 4 more episodes that were fantastic? Easily. There was probably, I think that for as far as bad shows go, you could have maybe 10 bad shows, especially the one where Janeway and Paris turn into these slugs, and at the end of the show, the Doctor is somehow magically able to turn them back into humans and bypass millions of years of so-called evolution. That was such a bad idea, and I wish they hadn't done that. Now, what they should have done was taken 2 bridge crew that were non-essential, like, some poor science officer or engineer from Deck 13. They should have had them turn into slugs, and they could have left them on the planet tragically. And they could have, had a big moral dilemma with that. Like when they were about to leave Janeway and Tuvok on the planet because they didn't have a cure for whatever disease they had. And then all of a sudden the Doctor comes up with a cure. I think that show was good, but that episode, they weren't going to leave him there forever. And now they could have expanded on that. If they had left Janeway and Chakotay on that planet for a few more episodes with Tuvok in charge, they could have been a lot more conflict with the Maquis. Janeway and Chakotay could have come up with their own cure and maybe met some other species. There's so much you could have done with that. Now, my other favorite episode was the one where the ship split into two, and there was two ships, and the Vidians were attacking, and the one ship is torn to hell. The other ship is in good shape, and when the Vidians arrive, they arrive on the ship that's in good shape, and the ship that's torn apart is the one that ends up surviving. And so Janeway blows up the ship and blows up the Vidians. And if you are interested, go listen to my Voyager fan film audio drama, Voyager: The Lost Episodes. I love that episode so much that I wrote a script that I was going to send to CBS, and I never got that opportunity, so I turned it into an audio drama, and we still haven't finished episode 3 of the audio drama to finish the story. And go listen to Liam Holworth Mulgrew, who is a huge Mulgrew fan, Kate Mulgrew. Listen to his imitation of Kate Mulgrew, and I want you guys to know that I had the opportunity. I got a call from one of my fan film friends, producers, and they said, David, I want you to know that Kate Mulgrew has heard the imitation of Janeway by your friend Liam. So I got to tell Liam, who's in Germany, listen, I think he's in Germany or England. I said, listen, Liam, Kate Mulgrew has heard your imitation, and he's such a Mulgrew fan, he even changed his name legally to Holworth Mulgrew. And if you go listen to him, it's uncanny. When I first got the audition, it was a little unsettling that it was a guy imitating a woman. But I thought, you know what? Bart Simpson, that's a girl doing Bart Simpson's voice. So the more I listened to him, the more I realized no one else can do this. And so if you get a chance, go listen to that. So anyway, I just wanted to start this show off on a good foot here at Deck 13. I built this bridge just for Voyager fans, and I want you to enjoy this show. We're going to talk about Voyager. We're going to talk about the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Enterprise, the original series. We're going to talk about other things too, but mostly Star Trek right here on Deck 13. So until next time, this is David with Starfleet Studios, signing out. And I have no comm badge, but... One to beam up. Beam me to the bridge. I have to talk to that Chakotay son of a... He's left me here all day. Energize. Oh crap, I forgot my coffee.